Lecture 5 covers Chapter 4, Emerging Digital Design Laws and Regulations. The chapter examines the EU's newer digital rulebook, including the Digital Services Act, the Digital Markets Act, and the Data Act, while also revisiting the GDPR, the ePrivacy Directive, and the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive. The chapter presents the EU as attempting to create a coherent framework for platform accountability, market fairness, data access, and user autonomy. In theory, these laws combine to curb manipulation and promote trust. In practice, they remain unfortunately quite fragmented. Their scopes differ, their thresholds vary, and their enforcement mechanisms do not always align. The chapter therefore asks whether the regulatory architecture matches the technical architecture of manipulation. Article 25 of the Digital Services Act sits at the center of the chapter. It prohibits online platforms from designing, organizing, or operating online interfaces in ways that deceive, manipulate, or otherwise materially distort or impair free and informed decisions. This is a major development. It recognizes that design itself can threaten autonomy. It also captures effect as well as purpose, which means intent does not dominate the analysis. Yet the provision applies to online platform interfaces, not to every digital system, not to every architecture beneath the interface. Material distortion sets an important threshold. The practice must significantly impair decision-making. That threshold prevents overregulation of ordinary persuasion, but it also creates evidential difficulty. A regulator must show not merely that the design influenced the user, but that it impaired free and informed decision-making in a legally material way. Article 25 of the Digital Services Act also excludes practices already covered by the GDPR or UCPD, which can create gray areas and enforcement uncertainty. What's also interesting is that the DSA's personal scope also matters a lot. An online platform stores and disseminates information to the public at a user's request. This captures social media, marketplaces, and many content-based platforms. But it does not necessarily capture smart devices, operating systems, or apps whose core function does not involve public dissemination. Very large platforms face additional risk assessment and transparency obligations, but many manipulative designs can appear outside that category. The Digital Markets Act, on the other hand, takes a different route. It targets gatekeepers and protects contestability and fairness in digital markets. Article 13.6 prevents gatekeepers from degrading conditions or making user rights unduly difficult to exercise, including through non-neutral interfaces or designs that subvert autonomy and free choice. This is important, but the chapter notes a limit. The provision still focuses on interfaces and gatekeepers. Manipulation in broader system architecture may remain under-scrutinized. The Data Act raises another problem: connected devices and non-traditional interfaces. Dark patterns in the Internet of Things do not always look like website banners or app screens. Voice assistants, smart TVs, and smart home devices can nudge, default, prompt, and collect data through ambient and ephemeral interactions. The Data Act promotes access to and control over data, but it does not fully regulate how choices are framed or how devices steer users through non-visual interfaces. The chapter uses case studies to test the framework: smart TV setup, subscription renewals, emotionally manipulative social media ranking, health app data sharing, difficult refunds, child-focused freemium games, automatic cart additions, and repeated location data prompts. These examples show how each law sees part of the problem. Sometimes the DSA applies. Sometimes the GDPR or the UCPD displaces it. Sometimes the Data Act is relevant but incomplete. Sometimes the practice sits outside of the most obvious instrument. So I asked myself 4 different types of audit questions. Is the service an online platform? Does the practice fall under the General Data Protection Regulation or the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive instead? Can material distortion be proven? And does the design problem sit beneath the interface? Only then, after I've answered these 4 questions, do I move on to analyzing the law. The chapter concludes that the EU's progress remains limited by a focus on the interface. The most visible interventions are easier to prohibit and audit. However, sophisticated manipulation can occur in ranking, pricing, profiling, dynamic personalization, and adaptive decision logic. A law that polices the surface may miss the system that produced the surface. This point prepares the transition to part 2 of the book, where the narrative moves beneath the interface. Chapter 4 is therefore a bridge. It recognizes the value of the DSA, the DMA, and the Data Act, but it also shows why they do not solve the problem alone. The next lecture turns to Chapter 5, where system architecture becomes the primary object of analysis.